Good morning, world of readers. I am Book Dragon Erin, and I would like to welcome you all back to my booktube channel, where today I will be reviewing Sin You by Teresa Wolf. Sin You is a fictional contemporary romance novel between a priest and a parishioner. This is also book 5 in the Dark Tales series, and in the Dark Tales series, we have Stalk You, which is an obsession romance, Prey on You, which is an anti-hero / hitman love story. And then we have Forbidden You, which is an age gap step-uncle love story. Then we also have Break You, which is a stalker / stepbrother love story. Then we have Sin You, which is the priest love story. And there are 10 books in this entire series, but I am only listing the first 5. And honestly, I will just say this right now, I am not reading the entire series because Sin You, I read the series out of order, was not a good book, and I personally don't like it as much as I thought I would. So this is the only review that you're going to get from me as a part of this series. As far as a summary goes, it's time to confess my sins. My name is Cain, and after doing the church's dirty work and rooting out evil in its ranks, I have finally settled down in a small community where I can forget my past and tend to my small flock. Until Enya arrived. From the moment I set eyes on Enya, I knew she was different, and it drives me wild. Her fiery and rebellious attitude stirs something inside me that I simply cannot ignore. Is she a test from God, tempting me to crumble, or is she something so much more? Little do I know, our past sins are about to catch up to us, and I will need to unleash the darkness inside me if I want to protect her. Father, forgive me for what I am about to do. I know I said I would never read another priest romance novel, but I was just pushing myself to read just one, and then I would never again subject myself to this torture that is disrespectful to a faith that I once believed in. I am not religious at all, nor do I conform to any religion now, although there are values from different religions that I do respect and hold value in. But I still find priest romances themselves so disrespectful to my former faith. A man is literally allowing himself to be tempted by lust and rejecting his vow to God to be with a woman. That is just blasphemous as it is, and it makes me so uncomfortable anytime I read that, especially if the priest hooks up with his parishioner in the church, because that is the house of God, and you do not be blasphemous or disrespectful in a house meant for the Lord. I just find that so horrible, but I did make a promise to myself to finish reading at least one priest romance, and that is what I have done now. I have also been reading Priest by Sierra Simone, and God knows I can't stand that book, but I want to finish at least one that has high reviews, and I have seen only good reviews about Priest, so I'm reading that next. But Sin You is like the only short story priest romance that I have ever read and finished. I mean, I tried reading a different priest romance novel that I could not finish, and it wasn't even because of the priest romance, it was because of a controlling side character who I completely hated, so I DNF'd that book immediately, and I have no regrets about that. Quite honestly, I don't care if Cain and Enya were made for each other. I still see her as a temptress, and I don't like her at all. Besides, she seduces a priest in a house of God, which is disgusting, in my own personal opinion. Some people might find that hot, but I do not. Much as I love passionate smut with a woman being the instigator for the "you're mine now" trope, which I think is fairly empowering, I can't stand it when a woman invades a church to be with a priest and goes for the "you're mine now" trope there. Again, that isn't a woman's territory, it is the house of God, and if she seduces a priest within a church, I feel like she's disrespecting a completely holy place and God himself. It's also strange for me to talk about religion or defend a faith which I no longer believe in, but I am still so against this. I just want to jump into the book and shout at Enya, show some bleep bleep respect, The Pokemon Master says there is a time and place for everything, but not here. Sex is great, but not when you're doing it in a house of God. There are classy books, and then there are trashy books, and I would say this book was nothing but disrespectful trash. Readers also get a really good look into Father Kane's past. He was once an assassin who dealt with criminals Enya's father became involved with, and when Enya runs to Kane and begs for help, Kane destroys a marble statue of a weeping angel to get his old weapons, which he has hidden, and then he takes the criminals out for threatening his woman. Literally, he takes a life to protect a life, and yes, that can be commendable in some senses, but not here. I just find that so creepy, and just destroying a statue I feel is also disrespectful, and destroying a religious statue of an angel, I am so uncomfortable whenever I read a scene about that, because it makes me feel like, yes, you are disturbing the faith even more than hooking up in the house of God. Cool as Kane can be as a former assassin, I still find him so dark as a character that I cannot respect him as a character whatsoever, and I wish that I could unread this book the first time over so I don't even have to bother reading this book in the first place. Even after all that, I'm still happy there was a happily ever after for Enya and Kane, though. Kane did finally leave the priesthood and married Enya. They moved into a secluded place away from the rest of the world, and Kane built them a home before getting Enya pregnant with their son Jesse, who is very much like his dad. And the final scene, we see Jesse running through the little woods by his house with a fishing pole in one hand and a fish in the other, and he's saying stuff like, "Daddy, Daddy, I caught a fish." And here's Kane chopping wood, saying, "Oh, that's marvelous." And then Enya is in the background just watching her husband and her son, and it's like, that's the best ending you can think of? Are you kidding me? Moving on to my final notes about this book before my head explodes or my brain implodes inside my skull, I rated this book 1 out of 5 stars. My official review: I have only read 2 priest romance novels in my entire life, and the first one I didn't even finish. I finished this one, yes, and I found it to be sinful and definitely not in the good way. I disapprove of priests rejecting their vows to God to be with women on a physical level, but I read this book just to say, hey, I read a priest romance novel. I honestly did not like this novel whatsoever, and I wish that I had not bothered reading this book. However, in one way, I'm glad I read at least one priest romance novel, so I can say with 100% certainty that I do not like that trope. After all this, I can honestly say that I plan on never reading another priest romance novel, because Sin You by Teresa Wolf was enough, and also Priest by Sierra Simone was too much to handle, but the only priest romance novel that I did enjoy was Lilith's Revenge by Zoe Blake. The only reason I read that book was because Zoe Blake herself was the author, and everyone is aware that I am obsessed with Zoe Blake's novels. All that aside, I hope everyone enjoyed today's video, because I certainly didn't. I hope everyone likes this video to show some support. Subscribe to my booktube channel to get more videos like this. Turn that notification button on to be notified when I upload brand new videos every single Sunday. Keep on reading. I will see you all next Sunday.